Jai Gurudev, respected Shri Ashok Ji Poddar, the chairman of ACPR, Shri Jirli Ji, the honorary secretary, Shri Belagavi, and Shri Dr. Sushant Joshi, all the dignitaries, all the invitees, all the resource persons, speakers, and my dear students. It's both an honor and privilege to speak on the performed idea of one nation, one religion, and one humanity. In the light of Gurudev Dr. R.D. Ranade's teachings, as a philosopher, mystic, and comparative thinker, Dr. Ranade transcends sectarian boundaries, advocating for a universal spirituality that binds humanity. I congratulate ACPR for organizing this national seminar on Gurudev Dr. R.D. Ranade, his life, work, and philosophies as a part of centenary celebrations of ACPR. The topic today, one nation, one religion, one humanity, is a viewpoint which forms the core of the Anekant philosophy of Jainism. A nation, in its highest sense, is not just a political entity, but a spiritual, collective, a living, breathing organism, where every individual is a vital cell, contributing to the well-being of the whole. With its rich spiritual heritage, India has been a beacon of unity in diversity. Dr. Ranade saw Bharat not just as a landmass, but as a moral force shaped by the wisdom of great saints like Sant Gyaneshwar, Kabir, Eknath, Tukaram, Ramanujan, and Basveshwar, who taught us that the nationalism must be built on the foundation of righteousness, that is dharma, rather than mere territorial pride. Considering Emperor Ashoka, who even after winning the Kalinga war, renounced violence and embraced the philosophy of dharma, a unifying ethical principle rather than a decisive creed. This is the true sense of one nation, a shared moral and spiritual aspirations rather than the uniformity in customs or traditions. Amokvarsha Nrupatunga, who was the emperor of the great Rashtrakuta Empire, whose reign extended from Kaveri to Ganga, and who was a king for more than 64 years. 64 years, you can just imagine, and this was 1200 years ago. What did he say? He says that the true wealth is gained through assimilation of diverse ideas, philosophies, and faith 1200 years back. And that too a king who had conquered so many kingdoms, and he was an emperor of our country. The revered poet Adi Kavi Pampa, who has written Pampa Bharata and the Adi Puran, says that the human race is the only caste. So he has not differentiated between any religion caste. This was also more than 1300 years ago. Then we have Vishwakavi Kvempu's Vishwa Manava Gite. It is a classical example of how great thinkers think alike. In this poem, he appeals to his soul to embrace the whole world as its home. Vishwa Manava Gite is a call for universal humanism, urging individuals to rise above barriers of caste, religion, and nationality. He asks the soul to be free, embrace truth, and spread compassion. It aligns with the quantum physics, that is interconnectingness. The Upanishads, the universal self, and the Jainism philosophy of multiple truths. Kvempu envisages a world where love and wisdom transcends division, inspiring us to live with empathy, truth, unity, and making his message timeless and deeply relevant today. Yesterday, Dr. Balaganpati ji said that we must focus on the inward journey to understand self before understanding other. What is religion if not the realization of the divine within us? Dr. Ranade, much like Swami Vivekananda, insisted that the religion is not confined to rituals, sects or scriptures, but is the science of the soul's ascent. He interpreted the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, the Sufi saints to emphasize that all religious traditions converge in the experience of the divine love and self-realization. For example, Sant Eknath, a devout Hindu who served water to an underprivileged with the same reverence as he would to Lord Panduranga. Or Guru Nanak, who proclaimed Na koi Hindu, na koi Musalman, that there is neither Hindu nor Musalman, but only seekers of the truth. True religion, as Dr. Ranade thought, is the unbroken thread of divine consciousness that runs through all faiths, leading from diversity to unity. Dr. Ranade, through his comparative studies of Upanishads, Sufi traditions, and Christian mysticism, emphasizes that the religion is not confined to rituals, but is the pursuant of self-realization and the universal truth. In the words of the Upanishad, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. It is not a poetic ideal, but a living truth in the philosophy of mystics. Dr. Ranade's whole life was embodiment of this principle. His works on comparative mysticism showed how Western and Eastern traditions like Plato's idealism, Saint Augustine's divine love, or the Vedic pursuit of Brahman were different paths to the same reality. The crises of our times are not economical or political. It is a spiritual crisis. A failure to recognize our fundamental unity. We stand at crossroads where sectarism and intolerance threaten to divide us. But if we embrace the vision of mystics like Dr. Ranade, we will see that beneath the superficial difference of nationality, creed, class, we are all but waves in the same ocean. Here I would like to highlight a key thought that a nation is not merely a geographical boundary or a political entity. It is a shared consciousness. Dr. Ranade emphasized that the true nation is bound by ethical and spiritual values rather than division of caste, creed or sect. I would like to explain my points with some modern examples. The quantum entanglement as an analogy for the social unity. Quantum physics provides a compelling analogy. I am aware that it is quite complex in reality, but let us simplify it for our understanding. The phenomena of quantum entanglement shows that two particles, even if separated by vast distances, are instantaneously connected. Any change in one affects the other particle. Similarly, in a nation, every individual is connected at a deeper level, and the actions of one affects the whole. The India's recent handling of crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrates this interconnectedness. The unity of healthcare workers, scientists, ordinary citizens coming together to support each other reflected the essence of spiritual bond nation. The Jain philosophy of Anekantavada, the doctrine of multiple perspectives, aligns with the quantum superimposition in physics. Just as an electron can exist in multiple states simultaneously, truth can have multiple perspectives. Famous physicist Niels Bohr has also said that the opposite of the performed truth may also be a performed truth. Dr. Ranade's interpretation of mysticism shows that the Hindu Vedanta, the Buddhist emptiness or the Shunya theory, and the Sufi concept of divine love all describe the same ultimate reality, seen through different lenses. This understanding is essential in our modern world where religious and ideological conflict arise from rigid interpretations. The more we embrace spiritual fluidity, the idea that all religions point towards a common truth, the closer we move towards unity. The Upanishads declare all this is Brahman. This is the essence of Dr. Ranade's teaching that at the deepest level, all beings are manifestation of the same divine. I am using more of contemporary examples to elucidate the religion and science are not too far-fetched ideas. In today's interconnected world, the artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things mirror this ancient wisdom. Just as neurons in the human brain form a collective intelligence, billions of interconnected devices now create a global consensus, a shared knowledge system beyond boundaries. Social media movements like Me Too, climate change activism, humanitarian aid networks have demonstrated that when humanity acts as one, transformative changes happen. This aligns with Jainism's philosophy of Parasparo Pagraho Jivanam, that is, all life is bound together in mutual support, or in the simpler terms, it is live and let live. Dr. Ranade's vision of universal mysticism teaches us that we are not isolated beings, but a part of a grand interconnected reality. The suffering of one is the suffering of all, and that enlightenment of one elevates all. As human race on the path of rapid technological revolution, it is imperative that we move from division to unity, from confusion and chaos to understanding and harmony. I would simplify further the three concepts in this sentence. One nation is not a geographical boundary, but a collective moral and spiritual progress as humanity. One religion is not sectarian belief, but a shared pursuit of divine truth. One humanity is not an idealistic dream, but the lived experience of interconnectiveness towards greater good. Just as river, no matter how many streams it branches into, ultimately merges into ocean, all paths of knowledge, whether Upanishadic wisdom, Jain non-absolutism, or quantum physics, point us towards the oneness of existence. One nation, one religion, one humanity is not an utopian dream. It is the natural order of universe. If we follow the teaching of the great mystics, if we listen with our hearts rather than our prejudice, if we move from division to devotion, then we shall see that the divine light shining in each one of us is the same. An adherent reader would be surprised to find that what the Upanishads say, what the Jain text embody, is the same what Rumi said, and what is further elucidated in Gitanjali by Rabindranath Tagore. I end with a couplet from the Gitanjali. The time that my soul went in search of thee, I found thee everywhere. Thy voice, thy light, thy love flow through every inch of existence. Let us not ask how different we are. Let us ask how we are one. Let us not build walls. Let us build bridges. Let us not merely tolerate, let us celebrate our unity. That would be the greatest tribute to Gurudev Dr. R.D. Ranade. Thank you.